Thanks for joining us.
Well, most North Texas officers fulfill their sworn duty to serve and protect. A Fox 4 exclusive investigation shows a different story behind the badge.
An I-Team investigation showed some law enforcement officers using intimidation tactics on an innocent man. Could it happen to you? Investigative reporter Becky Oliver joins us with another look at her special report. Becky.
Good evening, guys. If you were the victim of a crime, you would naturally turn to your local police department. But what if you needed their help to investigate police abuse? Would they encourage complaints or discourage them? Fox 4 investigates.
5 suspects appear to be in their 20s. 2052-318, call patch has been upgraded to an emergency.
Put your hands on your head!
It happens more often than you think.
Dragged me out to come by my neck, threw me on the ground, and then he started pouncing up and down on me with his knee.
Innocent men who suddenly become suspects of a crime.
Shut the up! Shut up! You don't ask any questions here. We ask all the questions, and all you do is answer.
North Texans who say their rights were violated by the men who are supposed to protect us.
One of them told me, he said, "You don't understand. We can do whatever we want to do out here."
In all 3 of these cases, the victims sued for police abuse. There were witnesses who say they saw what happened. Eventually, the case is settled. But what if there were no witnesses? What if it was your word against an officer's? What if you needed the police department's help to investigate police abuse?
Stand by for next unit. Vehicle.
We visited 40 police and sheriff's departments across North Texas with a simple request. We didn't have a complaint, didn't want to file one. We just wanted information about the steps an average citizen would take if he or she wanted to file a complaint.
Real quick, if somebody had a complaint about an officer.
At some stations, investigator Paul Parker, working undercover for Fox 4, was in and out in a matter of minutes.
It's going to be done by writing a letter?
Yes, sir. Writing a letter to the attention of the chief or deputy chief.
Chief or deputy chief?
Yes, sir.
At these police stations, there were no prying questions, just helpful information.
You can mail it in, you can bring it in.
Okay.
I mean, I can talk to you about it, and we can sit down and write it out right now. I mean, whatever's most convenient for you.
These officers were courteous and helpful, but at other stations, Parker was met with hostility.
You don't seem to understand. Between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m., this is my city. I'm in charge of this city. I'm in charge of every police officer that is on the street right now.
When Parker wouldn't give any details, this officer refused to call in his supervisor.
If you came here all bloodied up because you're brutalized, whatever, that'd be a little different. We'd be paging lieutenants to come up.
Some delivered an intimidating message.
If you make a wrong statement on something that happened, they'll file on you.
Okay.
And then the officer can sue you.
And this sergeant even took the law into his own hands.
State law says if I ask you for ID, you're the ID to me.
And that's Texas law?
Yes, sir, it is.
It was a Thursday night when Paul Parker visited the Kaufman County Sheriff's Department. Even though Parker said he only wanted information about how to file a complaint, Sergeant Billy Valentine demanded details.
You need to speak with me first. Who was the deputy?
I just want to know, is it a form somebody can take? You know?
I'll fill it out. No, there's nothing you can take.
But that isn't correct information. The Kaufman County policy states a citizen can mail in a complaint, call the sheriff, or contact an outside agency to complain. Parker wasn't given any of those options.
You need to speak with me. I'm the supervisor. I'm the one in charge.
So it's not like on no internal affairs or nothing else. It just has to deal with.
Right here's where it starts. I'm the internal affairs. I started internal affairs right here.
Again, that isn't correct information. The sheriff says there is an internal affairs department, and it investigates citizen complaints. After 10 minutes, Parker decides to leave, but Sergeant Valentine isn't through with him.
What is your last name?
Do I really gotta give you that?
Yes, sir. Because if you don't tell me your name and birthday, I'm going to arrest you for failed ID to me.
Arrest him? That's right. Sergeant Valentine threatens to arrest Parker for failing to identify himself. Watch closely what Valentine does next.
State law says you have to ID to me when I'm doing an investigation. Right now I'm doing an investigation, okay? Sir, I'm just going to ask you one more time. I need your name and your birthday.
Oh, officer, I don't need no problem. Okay, look. Is it, are you saying it's a state law?
Yes, sir, it is.
Did I gotta produce my ID?
You have to tell me your name and your birthday.
That's wrong. There is no state law in Texas that requires a person to identify himself when asking for information. In fact, even the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled a person does not have to divulge his name. And yet Valentine repeatedly threatens Parker with arrest, and at one point it appears he even reaches for his weapon.
And if you don't believe me, I'll go ahead and take you to jail and you can take it before a judge. What's your last name?
I just want to ask you one more time. Okay, no, it's Parker.
Parker?
Parker.
We showed the tape to Valentine's boss, Sheriff Robert Harris.
Okay, what's the problem?
What's the problem?
At first, Sheriff Harris was quick to defend his sergeant.
Obviously, the officer thought that this man wanted to file a complaint. You guys are wanting to get a good report where you can make something interesting to the public, and that's what you do for a living.
That's not professional law enforcement. That dishonors the badge.
Dr. Gary Sykes is the president of the Southwest Legal Foundation in Richardson. It's an agency made up of former law enforcement officials that studies the ethics and policies of police agencies. Dr. Sykes is involved in police training across the country. We showed him our videotape of Sergeant Valentine.
What he's doing there is clearly going beyond what is permissible. He's decided that he's a troublemaker, all right, and the deputy is going to handle the troublemaker.
What's the Texas law that he's referring to?
He misinformed the gentleman and
He threatened to arrest him.
well, he shouldn't have threatened to arrest him.
Be a black male. Check him out of Texas and Florida.
After Parker turns over his identification, the sergeant immediately runs a warrants check on him.
Running the warrants check on him? What was the purpose of that?
Well, I guess he thought the individual had wanted to file a complaint and he was trying to make a report, and evidently he was wanting to see if the individual was wanted. I don't know why he did it.
Based on what?
I don't know why he did it.
It's to intimidate him. I mean, there's no other reason to do that. He's not a suspect. He hasn't committed any unlawful act.
After the warrants check comes back clear, Sergeant Valentine invites Parker to go into the back room to look at the law. Parker declines.
There are a lot of good people out there who look at that and say, what that deputy did dishonors the rest of us.
Just walking into a police station for most people can be intimidating. Now imagine going to file a complaint about one of the officers who works there. In many departments we visited, the supervisors were courteous and played by the book.
That's the address right there, and that's the main phone number that you can call if you have any questions.
You needed an employee complaint form?
Yes.
Okay, there's the form. Okay, it's pretty much self-explanatory.
But watch what happened when our undercover investigator, Paul Parker, walked into the Terrell Police Department.
I just want to know is there a form?
Parker says he doesn't want to give details. He just wants to know how to file a complaint against an officer. And if there's a complaint form, he can take home.
But you're going to have to start with what happened, who, when, where, and how, or the procedure stops right here.
But that's not the Terrell Police Department policy. It specifically states a citizen can mail in a complaint, phone it in, or take a complaint form home with him.
If you want to complain to officers, great, complain. But you're going to have to start with me, because you're not getting anywhere else until you tell me what happened. Okay? Because that's my job. That's why I'm here.
Okay, I'm saying this, so if an individual was harassed or abused by an officer, and they might be a little intimidated or uncomfortable coming in and speaking to another officer, they might just want to take a form and fill it out or write down a letter in regards to that. So
that's not how it works. What you're asking for doesn't exist.
Parker keeps asking if there's a form he can take, but this officer is not going to give it to him until Parker tells him what he wants to hear.
I'm not refusing, officer.
Well, yes, you are. I've asked you 4 times.
Okay.
Who is the officer and what has happened, and you hadn't told me nothing.
Is there a number that somebody can call?
You're going to get me when you call up here? You don't seem to understand. Between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m., this is my city. I'm in charge of this city. This is my city.
We showed Police Chief Jeffrey Witt how his officer treated our investigator.
That wasn't the correct procedure. The correct procedure is when someone comes in and asks for a form, if they don't have to talk to you. You can give them a form and they can take it home.
So clearly, turning around and constantly spitting in front of that person obviously communicates a kind of contempt for that person.
That is rather embarrassing. I picked up on that. I do think that obviously we have some people need to be some training in that.
At this station, it appeared the lieutenant was going to cooperate with Parker's request for a complaint form.
Would I be able to take this and go? Take this with me?
Sure.
Okay.
At first, this lieutenant seems friendly and helpful, but watch how quickly that attitude changes when Parker declines to provide details.
Can you enlighten me on what we're doing here before we get off into this? Because I'm not,
you know, like I said, I just came in to see, you know, situation of police abuse. Somebody wanted to make a complaint.
we don't have anybody here to abuse people. This is a rich neighborhood. We're more laid back than that. We don't kick people and hit people and that kind of thing here. So you know where you are?